Alright guys, time to hook up our second harness, hook it up to our aftermarket radio, and take a look at this guy. Got a Pioneer screen up here, the Pioneer radio down there. We'll see if this baby works. Alright guys, so we got our RCAs hooked up. They're going to the factory amp. Then we got our steering wheel control module, a little access module. That's hooked up. Then we got our power. Got our long harness so we can kind of shift the radio around wherever we need. Now we're just going to hook up this the AC controls and see how it goes. Here we go guys, moment of truth. Still got our clock and our HVAC controls up there because this is on top of a navigation module. You can see the controls. Let's see if we can get some music out of this guy. Alright, let's see, we got all the channels. Let's fix this. Let's go to sound output. Yeah, so we should be on. And we just want to try and make sure we have everything hooked up the right way. Now I gotta pull the radio fuse at 1 tomorrow, so I got the time at the right time. But yeah, the radio's working. Got our subwoofer working. Alright guys, I still have a ton of installation to do, so I'm gonna get to that. But just so you know, it's working how we want it to work. There's nothing getting in the way. I mean, I want to put the factory screen back over this so that it looks nice. I'm just not there yet. I want to get this turned into a controller. I'll control the radio, these buttons too, but we're just not there yet.
So yeah, I'm sure that if you have this car and have tried to add a radio before, what you have had to have done before is take this radio and put it down here, and then you lose this guy, and then you're rolling around with the HVAC controls here or up here and your navigation here. Either way, it just looks silly. There's no good way to add a aftermarket radio to this car. If you do replace it, you lose this, and then that gap looks funky in the car. This is what I managed to come up with for a aftermarket radio. So this guy is an AVIC 7100. You can see here's the actual unit. Here's the ribbon cable for the display. So this guy, the 7100, and here's where the ribbon cable goes onto. So I'll show you guys in a little bit. 60-pin ribbon cable that's probably 4 inches long from the factory. So it works great for letting the screen open up and close on these units. But if you want to relocate the screen like I did, there's no way you can use that little wire. So I had to have a manufacturer in China actually manufacture some samples for me to see if they would work. Because of the voltage that's traveling to these things, the temperature it needs to handle, and God knows what else that it needs that I don't understand. I tried a bunch of different 60-pin cables that I found on eBay, on the internet, and none of them worked. I took the original cable, wrote down all the specs I could find on it, sent it to the manufacturer in China. They're like, yeah, we can get this done. They got it done for me. They sent me some samples. They've been working great. So this ribbon cable is what connects the unit to the actual touch screen. And back in the day, this used to be more common, and now Alpine's actually starting to do this with some of the restyle kits. So Kenwood and Pioneer don't have any units where the screen, the source unit, isn't with the display. They're all together. There aren't any that have a display and then the source unit somewhere else. So this works great. Actually made a harness for the radio. It works great. It just looks terrible in the car. So I was gonna add this guy in front of it, and it fits, it works. It's just this wouldn't actually work. So I want to transform this into something that works first before I put this in the car for good, because it's just irking me how the trim here looks, how this is just a gap. I'm actually trying to get an 8-inch screen that I can replace this entire thing with, and it'll just be a screen that'll look even more factory. That's a whole nother task that I haven't been able to accomplish yet. So if you guys have any insight on a Pioneer unit with an 8-inch screen, I know Alpine has some, but they're a little pricey, and I just don't have the money to get into something like that right now. So since this was my prototype slash didn't know if I was going to keep this slash didn't know if this was something that would even I would even want in my car, the ABS you can see is pretty badly cut, and it's just enough to fit correctly like the factory screen does inside, because obviously it's a 7-inch, so this is smaller than the ABS. And then I have that 60-pin connector running out of the back of the radio, and I just made a little slice in there for where it goes. And then this is just my little board so that nothing can damage it. You see, like, and here you could already see the imprint of what would have went into the board, or maybe the cable, but I didn't have this here. So that's kind of just what I thought for. And then just some little tape covering up the screws that are going into the back of this guy to hold it firmly in place. And then I added some extra ABF here and ABF here, and kind of used glue and the screw to help hold it down, because the board that sits on top of this, where is it? This guy right here, it screws into it. You see that screw and that screw over here screw into it, so I didn't want to go through the board. I wanted it to sit just right, so a little piece of ABF on top will allow it to sit just right. And this works no problem. It worked in the car. Normally this has a crease here, like here, but I couldn't get the cable down with that crease there. So what I had to do was I had to bend this up like so, and then snip it to, it's kind of little jagged. I covered it with some tape so it wouldn't screw the cable up, and it's worked fine. But just a heads up that if you're going to do this, this is going to get in the way, so you're just going to need to bend it out and cut it. So just like the back of the display unit, the actual radio itself with the faceplate cover on is where the mic goes, or SD card goes, has a 60-pin connector, and that 60-pin connector docks here, just like a little tab connector. There's other ribbon cables here for other stuff, but this is the one I'm talking about. That initially it's a little 4-inch one, but I've replaced with this 3-foot one. So yeah, I'm gonna put this back together. So with the faceplate on, you actually lose the ability to get the SD card in and out of here, unless you take that faceplate off, which means you have to take the whole radio out. And the CDs they fit. You can get them in and out, but it's tricky. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, but who really uses CDs anymore? But just a heads up in case you guys decide to go this route. See, once all put together with the factory faceplate, it doesn't look so bad. It actually looks kind of good this way. You can see we still have the aftermarket radio, threw the faceplate on, which meant we had to get rid of this piece, which is the faceplate, I guess, for the double din. But yeah, it doesn't look so bad.